whatsoever, whether or not it's really going to do anything in the immediate sense. We don't know. Okay.
Right.
But it's possible, just aiming at symptom. Okay. We get a result. I've seen really good stuff out of that.
He has talked to me about some of his resentments. He's had a lot of resentments towards his dad because his dad didn't do anything with him like fathers do with sons.
Yeah.
His dad was a what do you call those people that run? A sprinter, because he won some awards for running. He didn't do anything like that with him. He had musicians in the family. His uncle was a musician. They didn't try to teach him to play anything. Didn't try to teach him how to play the piano or the horn, or he has resentments because they didn't like do father son things together.
Sure. Okay.
Like that.
All right. Now, the important thing here, and what we're going to be doing, as well as what those listening in need to understand, is that we're not so concerned with what did or didn't happen, like fathers and others not paying attention to him, not including him, and doing things that fathers should do, and this kind of thing. The important issue is not that. The important issue is his response to that.
Right.
Okay. Now, some kids may say, well, who needs dad? I'm going to go play baseball and I don't need him at all. That's a different response than something's wrong with me because, I'm defective and somehow I'm not lovable, this kind of thing. Right. That's where the resentment really starts to come in.
Yeah. Okay. But I know that really bothers him because he brings it up a lot.
Okay. All right. Good feedback. Great. Leslie, wonderful. So those things become cause. We're going to get to that level of cause in a bit. But first, I just want to aim at the symptom. We'll have no idea whether it works or not.
Right.
Because you can't check it out with him. Okay.
Right.
But there is, by the way, there is good reason to expect something may happen as a result. Okay. Now, one of the nice things about this, and you told me before this broadcast that you dealt with some issues yourself. There was a foot issue, a spinal issue, a sleep issue, this kind of thing. Okay. While we do this, both for the symptom for your father, esophagus, and the underlying emotional causes, you may well get results yourself.
That would be nice.
You won't know that until such time as you check out your sleep and your various discomforts and so on.
Right.
All right. Give you a little example of that. One of our members has been working on her own issues for some time and getting good results. But she never, ever included her husband and his issues in what she was dealing with for herself. Just never did it. For reasons nobody can explain except us. Okay? The husband was dealing for 40 years. It's a long medical name, but something's wrong with the feet. The padding on the feet was just gone, and it was painful to walk across a tile floor, for example. For 40 years, getting worse and worse and worse and worse. That went away.
Wow.
It went away. Okay. And there's no other explanation. Can we guarantee unseen therapists did it? No. Is there another explanation? No.
Right.
So I'm just telling you that might happen. And by the way, those listening in, might want to just go along with this and follow the instructions I'm going to give you. Something might happen even with their own issues.
Sure.
You don't know for sure. So anyway, we're going to bring an unseen therapist here. And we're going to aim at the symptoms. So if you would, I'll just narrate the whole thing. You just kind of go along with me, okay?
Okay.
So if you would, just close your eyes. Close your eyes and take a nice, deep, relaxing breath. And just as a very simple way of inviting the unseen therapist, just recall some loving moment in your life, a simple little loving moment, and just nod your head whenever you're there. All right, good. All that is we're just telling unseen therapist who's always listening to us that we're going to align with her. We're going to listen to her for a change, okay? Our ego's always dealing with problems and stuff like that, but we're now going to listen and turn something over to the unseen therapist. And she recognizes, just as you may recognize from reading my book and just from your own spiritual experiences, that we are all connected. You are connected with your father. You are connected with me. There's no such thing really as separation, even though it certainly appears that way to our senses. So in this way, you can just, in your imagination, Leslie, become your father. Okay? That doesn't mean you have to develop the same kind of esophagus problems he has, etc. But you're just going to be him for the moment. And you're going to just imagine that you have an esophagus that keeps wanting to close up. And we're going to then, with that imagination, we're going to have unseen therapists in our imagination also, sending a nice, cooling, loving breeze towards you, being your father, and the esophagus area. Here comes the breeze. It enters the body. It circulates around and around and around. And we represent, we kind of in our imagination see that esophagus as closed. Maybe a little bit of entryway into the stomach, but basically closed. We're going to also imagine it being inflamed, maybe red in color. It may not actually be the case. It's just a way of imagining it. And that will suffice for these purposes. Unseen therapist knows what's really going on. We have this imagination to help us get some sense of what might be going on. So in our imagination, there's our esophagus, almost closed up, red, inflamed. Even, let's say, we'll exaggerate it some. We'll call it throbbing. Boom, 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 boom. Like that. And so in the imagination, here comes this cooling breeze. And it circulates around the esophagus, the boom, boom, and the red. And in your imagination, just allow that cooling breeze, which is all understanding. And even though we're going to get to emotional issues in a bit, we can still allow unseen therapists to say, there might be some emotions here involved. And here comes this cooling breeze, and all of this going on cannot survive in the ultimate pure love of the unseen therapist. And so it circulates around, and in your imagination, the boom, boom, boom goes boom, boom, and dissipates. The red color turns to pink, to flesh color. The small hole in the esophagus begins to expand. There's nothing holding it back anymore. It just tends to expand, 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 and get normal. And now, Leslie, still doing this in your father's behalf, because you are connected with him. You are one with him. And assuming he's not sitting there resisting it because he's off playing golf or whatever he does. Okay. Imagine this again. Small esophagus hole. Red, throbbing, boom, boom. Inflamed. Cool breeze. Color shifts, changes. Esophagus grows. The inflammation, boom, boom, gets smaller, small, boom, boom. Now, do it again. Take whatever time you want, Leslie. And just in your imagination and in your father's behalf, with all the love you have for him, do it again. And if you want, again. more times if you want to. Whenever you've gotten to a point where, as far as you know, you've gone as far as you can go, just open your eyes and we'll talk. Okay. So let me ask you, Leslie, were you able to do that? Did you have any competing thoughts? Was there any difficulties with that?
No difficulties. No. I just tried to get that cool breeze down there and to see it opening up for him. And if somewhere, I see that it didn't do too much, and at least I can do it again.
Yes. And that's the point. You can do it again and again and again. So we don't know what kind of resistances he may be having to this, even though he doesn't know we're doing it. Okay.
Right.
But the chances are, if you do this again and again and again, and by the way, I can send you a copy of this so you can replay it.
Oh, right.
For yourself and run it over and over again. Chances are pretty good. Just aiming at the symptom level, something worthwhile will happen. Because we're not getting to cause yet, right. It may be temporary. Okay. And because he's not cooperating with this, it may be temporary.
Right.
But it would be something.
Right.
Okay? One thing we need to recognize here is that if somebody really doesn't want this to happen, and I'm going to speculate for a moment, it's possible your father may want this esophagus problem. It may seem perverse to think that, okay, because he's obviously saying, no, I don't want it, and all this stuff. Yes. But at some other level, he may be getting attention from it. He may be getting forms of love from it. He may getting some benefit from it that does not appear on the surface. I'm not saying he is. I don't know. Right. I'm saying that's among the possibilities. Okay.
Yeah. And
so long as he wants it, he's going to keep it. We are very powerful with our beliefs. Okay. All right. Now, with that in mind, let's shift now to what could be the cause. And here we don't know all the specific events, which we tend to want to do do this thing thoroughly and well with someone who cooperates. Okay. But that doesn't mean we can't address it in a larger way with some effectiveness.
Right.
So what we typically do, Leslie, is we get down to specific events. The moment when my father did so-and-so when I was 8 years old and I still feel this emotion about it, kind of thing. Okay. Mm-hmm. And those kind of things, if we get down to them with some precision, we can collapse a lot of stuff. We won't have that ability here.
Right.
But we are aware there's a lot of resentments and things like that we can treat in a more, these are causes,
right,
that we can treat in a more general kind of way. Mm-hmm. And hope we're going to get some release on this. Not just for the esophagus, but hopefully he would be more peaceful himself. Now, the only way you'll know that is just as you talk to him as time goes on and what he talks
right.
about. And all the things he used to talk about for resentments, maybe he doesn't talk about it anymore. Okay? Mm-hmm. Because they're not important. Right. That wouldn't surprise me. Okay. So let's go back in again. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to happen because I just listen to unseen therapists and start rambling on all of this. So go ahead. Just close your eyes. Close your eyes. Unseen therapist is already here. We don't need to formally invite her again. And again, Leslie, just imagine yourself being your father because you indeed are connected. Mm-hmm. And let's go back in time. Let's go back in time to when your father was a child. You be that child, even though you may or may not know all the details in what's going on. But there are arguments there. There are rejections. There are criticism. There is turmoil in the house you want to get away from. Mm-hmm. And you're not able to do it. So you end up with resentments. Eventually you leave. You lie about your age to get out of the house and go into the Army or the Air Force. That's a big move. There's a lot of resentment back there. And resentments are expensive. As we talked about before, they create poor chemistry and the negative chemistry in the body. Emanates in lots of ways, including in the esophagus. Especially as I think we were talking about before the broadcast, Leslie, I saw some intuitive link between all the stuff going on in the family, and now we can sort of, my term, cover it over by going off into the Air Force, getting out of there. We don't resolve it. We just sort of leave it behind, a way of covering things over, something like your father may have done with all the hot sauce on the food. I will tell you that about the same time your father was in the Air Force, I was in the Army. I didn't see anybody, anywhere putting hot sauce all over their food. Okay. And I saw hundreds and hundreds of other soldiers out there. Nobody was doing that. Something about your father has a need to put the hot sauce